Update. The latest from News 4 New York.
Coming up on News 4 New York, the jury in the Von Bulow trial ends another fruitless day of deliberation.
In the 1970s, Carol Jenkins was one of the first black TV reporters. Today, she's a writer, producer, media expert, and an Emmy Award-winning television journalist.
When I decided that I wanted to be a journalist and anchor, it was the equivalent of saying that I wanted to go to the moon. There were no women, certainly no women of color, who were doing the news. They were all male. But I was attracted to it, and I started in the business at the time when the federal government said, you have to diversify the press corps. There were no women, no people of color. We were called window dressing on the set. And they mandated, you have to find women, you have to find people of color, and hire them. And that's how I and many of my colleagues who went in during that time, which was the early 70s, got our jobs. And it was a fight every step of the way. The people who had been doing the news were not happy to see us all arrive on the scene, and they did whatever they could to make our jobs as difficult as possible.
Heels and hussies moved to the Jade Room of the Waldorf for a big cocktail party, and that's where they are now. And Carol Jenkins is there, too. Carol?
Jack, did you say hussies? Well, anyway, I have a couple of the hunks, not the hussies, who are here, and I told them I was
As women, we're not given the tough assignments either. You know, I can remember going to the flower shows and all of the soft stuff, and I would say, I want to cover the mayor, I want to do the politics, I want to do the economics, I want to do the international affairs. So there was a lot of testing.
No hussies here, Jack. Back to you.
Well, that's all right, Carol. Thank you very much.
We come from a rural Alabama farming family. For the first 3 years of my life, I lived with no indoor plumbing. This is rural Alabama in the 40s. I was an only child. With parents who worked very hard in a business. The fact that I even knew that there was a world outside of my block was because of the books that I read. Because of all of that, I wanted to go into the Foreign Service, go around the world negotiating for the United States. And so that was my dream. And then I got to college and somehow I got distracted. Suddenly I was majoring in something else altogether and then got a master's in that and found myself saying, this isn't where I intended to be. You know, I didn't want to do this. And so I asked my parents to get one more degree, go back to school and do journalism. And my mother said to me, you better make this one work. And so I did. We had a very, very, very strong family. And I must say that the women in our family were the strongest. My mentor was my Aunt Minnie. I have 45 first cousins. She helped send all 45 of us to college. And I think on the strength of her power alone, we did not lose one person to drugs, to the prison industrial system. When we were getting ready to go off to college, she'd say, how many skirts do you need? She'd get on her sewing machine and sew me up 20 of those little skirts. And so I had skirts, and she bought books, and she did that for all of my cousins. You know, she made sure that we all made it out. So she's my hero. We call it an unexpected ending for a poor, rural family in southern Alabama, deep in the heart of segregation, you know, that everybody would make it out alive and educated, but we did. The advice I would give to young girls, it may seem like a cliche, but I'm going to tell you it's true. Anything is possible. You cannot rule out things because you're poor, because no one in your family has done it before, because no one else has even envisioned what you want to do before. And never underestimate the power of your voice. Women only hold 3% of the clout positions in the media. Essentially what that means that 97% of everything that you know about yourself, about your country, about your world is being told by men. So that's why we need girls and women to step in and give their versions of what is happening in the world from their perspectives. That's why I would say girls, get into media, get into journalism, tell those stories, and straighten us out. Tell us what we need to know.